Hey guys, welcome back to Bar Z. My name's Stan, and there's our old friend, the gear comparator, or the gear runout gauge. And in the last episode, you saw that we had just chamfered a block. Now here's the customer's block, which is just a ordinary base block, and it fits nice. And we chamfered it, but we never test fitted it. At least I never showed you. Let's see, make sure there's no dust in there. This thing fits so tight it could make a difference for sure. But now it's snug. It's not unduly snug. It feels nice. It feels nice. So I think these chamfers were what were very much needed. I think that inside corner was probably giving me grief. I haven't put on any magnifiers to look in there. But now our block is ready for some V grooves. That's all that's left. So we know our geometry is good on the outside of the block. Let's start working on V grooves. We still got some more surface plate work to do, so let's do that first before we start grinding. Okay, I've already started by working on this groove just a little bit. This is the small groove, and this is the one that had that huge radius in there, if you remember. And what I've done is I went through and I did a straight up slitting saw cut right down the middle. I've got a boron nitrate wheel that's 70 thousandths wide that's made for grooving and things like that. So I cut myself a relief down in the bottom, and then I came in and this thing's sitting on a granite 45 degree block right now, so I can measure here, flip the block, and then measure here again and determine which side I need to take material out of. And so I just basically equalized them, and I'm just getting ready to measure right now. So that's as far as I've got on it. The other side hasn't been ground at all. But I wanted to show you, you need some, if you're going to grind to an inside corner, you need some kind of relief, and that's only 70 thousandths. It's not a lot, but it's enough to get, get it done. Let's put a bunch of Toyo on there on the surface gauge, and we'll measure that groove and see how we're doing. Okay, I think I got you where you can see everything. Hopefully, how's that dial face look? Oh, you can kind of read it. Okay, I didn't put my YouTube gauge on. It's over on a different surface gauge. Anyways, block lint free, no grit, everything wiped down, everything's stoned and cleaned. And we're just going to come right here in the very center of the V groove. Come up here, and I've already zeroed up on it. And we're going to sweep in and out. Make sure we got a true 45, which it looks like we do. So our sign plate work was good over on the machine. Okay, here comes the hand, and we're going to flip this block, bring it back in, kind of knife it down, and seat it. Okay, and then do the same thing here, and see how centered we got it. This is going to tell us whether we're centered on that 45. And yeah, I'm calling that one good. Wow, this is a rough grind. Shoot, I don't want to go even back and touch that thing. We still got the bottom to do, and I've already measured this. Are you still in frame there? Yeah. This one's a +3, and this is a 0. So I zeroed up on this side here. So we've got at least 3 thousandths to take out of this V groove to get it straightened out. Okay, so let's get dialed in on this thing. We're going to zero up right there, right over that bolt hole, right in the center. And we're going to call that a good 0. And then we're going to flip, seat it. Make sure it's down tight, squeeze all the air out. And my last measurement, this one was +3, so I was off on my centering by 3 thousandths, 3 whole thousandths. Well, in this world, that's a mile. Okay, there's your 0. So we're going to climb 1, 2, a couple thou. All right, so 2 and change. Oh, there's your 3 there if you fish around for it. That is as heat treated there, no grind on that at all. So that side definitely needs a little bit of work to get it dialed in and centered and 45 and all that. So let's get that straightened out. Then we can start working on our center to center distance and see how close we can get the headstock to the tailstock. I have the headstock here and I have the bar that they both bolt to, so we'll be able to test all that. All right, so let's go over to the surface grinder and look at the setup on how we grind these 45s. Okay, there's a bunch to this setup. You have to, you got to clean your plate, you got to clean your sign, you got to clean the top of your mag. This is a 6x6 magnetic sign, 5-inch roll center. You have to, after everything's cleaned and mated up, you mag it down, and then you have to tram in your, I'm using a fence here in the back and a fence on the side. You have to tram both of those. If they're not running true, then you need to grind them, which I did. They get unbolted and rebolted. I don't even know if they're in the same place they were before. This mag plate has 2 fences, and you can put them on 3 different sides. You can bolt them here, here, and here. So the Dos Equis, man, they said I don't always remove my fence, but when I do, it never goes back on the same. That's very true. Anytime you remove a fence off a mag plate, they just don't seem to bolt back on the same way, and you end up having to just kiss them with a side wheel. Anyways, this whole setup, it took me a good 45 minutes or an hour to get set up where I was happy with the way it was running. The part went on straight, everything trams good. You can drop your part in and actually tram right on your part and make sure it's tramming in both directions right. So we got it done. And what we're doing is we've got just enough room to get through there. Missed that fence. I got the guard flipped up right now so you can see what's going on. And I'll take you around to the back of the plate and show you the fences. The Suburban Tool fences are kind of nice. They have slotted holes so you can control the elevation of the fence. I like to set mine up kind of high for some things because they'll drain coolant and they'll drain grit and gunk and whatever. Or if they get in your way, you can slam them down tight to the plate like I did here on this side. And I'll take you around to the back side of the plate and show you how that part index is on there. The rest of this, I got no DRO on this, so we're going to be using dials on the down feed and on the in feed to make sure we're in that groove. And this is what makes that relief down the center of a V-notch. It makes grinding these things so forgiving. If I had to grind to a sharp inside corner with no relief, you'd just be wearing out wheels left and right. But that little bit of relief in there is just a godsend. All right, so let's get you around to the back of the plate and see what it took. Oh yeah, and then I had to make a gauge stack. Got a gauge stack here, based on a 5-inch roll center. I got my shop blocks. Those are. Well, actually, they're an A-grade Michitoyo. They're pretty nice, but I'm not going to use my ceramics over here. Anyways, but I've got they're a decent set of gauge blocks. They're not bad. I bought them from a laboratory, and they were very lightly used when I got them, and they were calibrated. All right, so let's get you around to the back of the plate and let you have a look at how this all goes in there and give you a really good idea of the operation I'm going to do. Because I don't think there's any way I'm going to be able to film me doing this. After this is down, coolant, dust collector, light where I can see. There's just nowhere for you to be, and my fat head's going to be in your way too. So let's get you over to the backside. I'll show you what's going on, and then I'm going to explain the order of operations. Okay, I think you got a good view. I still got the guard in the back lifted up, and all I'm going to do is come down right here and touch off. And I've got about this much room to traverse. That's it before I hit over here on the on that fence. So I'll be able to traverse just a little bit and just enough to come off of that V block. So what we're going to do is we're going to come down, touch. I'm going to come down on the high side, which is my one that was we were getting a reading of 2,000s and change, 3,000s, whatever. Just till I touch, and then I'll give it an extra couple thou down feed, just till I see it slightly clean. Okay, and at that point, I'll release my mag, I'll blow off, wipe down, flip right here. Now at this point I'm putting my zero side down, turn my mag back on, and no downfeed. Don't change anything. Bring it over and see if I touch. If I don't touch, I'll give it a few tenths, just enough to clean up, and then we just keep playing the average game. Grind, flip, grind, flip, grind, flip. And we just keep doing it till everything cleans up, and when I get a nice gentle pass on my last pass, I'm just dusting both of them. That way I know my groove is straight, my groove is at 45, and my groove is perfectly centered. All right, that's how it's gonna go. I really don't think I'm gonna be able to film this. This is super difficult to try to get you guys in here too, because this is stunt grinding at its best right here. I got so many contraptions hooked up to this thing to make this happen. But you know what? I wouldn't have it any other way. I love this. All right. So let me get this ground. I might park a camera on me, but you're not going to be able to tell what I'm doing. I'll do my best. Okay, there wasn't much to that. I got my, I went to my zero side, which is my lowest one. That's our zero from the surface plate, and I went down just so it cleaned up. And then as soon as I cleaned up, I made a pass, gentle, and set a zero here, and set a zero here, so I know how far down to go, and I know how far in to go without hitting my relief in the center. So the zero side's done, and all we have to do now is flip. We'll drive this back into zero. That was my starting point, and we'll land this one. I think we said we were like 3 thou high. We'll maybe set up for 5 and just do some little down feeds, make contact, and go down until we see a zero mark there. And then we'll probably have to go a little bit past that, you know, a couple tenths. Just so we don't move the column. You know, the chances of me getting the column back in the same spot each time the spindle are pretty, it's a long shot. So make a final dusting pass, flip the part without even touching the column, make a final dusting pass after we flip, and then we should be equal. All right, watch your ears. But here, let me see if I can show that to the camera. That's the 0 side right there that we just did, and then the +3 side over there we haven't touched yet. So this, I consider this just kind of a rough grind. So we'll rough this in and get that 3/1000 out of there, which is like a frickin' mile, and then we'll get it in sub thousandths, and then we can talk. All right, clean, feels good down on the plate. Under the back fence and the side fence both, and there. We're going to lift our spindle up 5/1000ths. We're going to drive back to our 0, which is here. And yeah, I don't see any touching there. Maybe give us an extra 2 thou headroom there. But I saw that wheel move. Okay. Alright, so we're clear all the way through. Now you can put all this stuff back so you can't see. Perfect, right? You know what? Taking out 3/1000ths dry is no big deal. I could probably leave you guys parked there without that coolant being in your way. Let me telescope you in just a skosh. Maybe you could see what's going on there. What do you think? Let's try it. Alright, I got a little touch right at 1, 2, 3, 3.5 thou. So I got 3.5 thou to go before I get to 0. Still not cleaned up. Now that one's a little tricky. Either my milling job or there, just cleaned up. Oh, and I got a 1/2 thou to go. That's beautiful. I love it. Alright, back on 0. So I'm back to the same elevation as the other side before I flipped it. Now I'm going to start doing step overs. Pardon my head. Alright. I'm going to start doing step overs and kind of work my way off of that part. The leading edge of the wheel just came off the part. I've got a real fine dress on this wheel right now. I dressed it right before I set up the sign code. Alright, so we're off, and you can go check it real quick. We can go check it real quick over on the surface plate. And we could actually put it on the bar and try to get an idea how much more we got to grind away to get this thing matched to the headstock. And I'll show you that headstock too while we're over there. Okay, well, I'm back to the YouTube gauge. That's one with blue cellophane on it. I need to replace my cellophane. It's got a little tear in it. That blue cellophane, it really helps cut the glare. It's a big problem for people when they're trying to video stuff. Alright, we're going to 0 up on our old 0. That's our old 0 point there. And we're going to get right there. Bump the gauge. Hold on. Hold on. Just never happy. Alright. Sweep in, sweep out. Right on that bolt hole circle. Happy. Flip our part. See our part, no grit or lint detected. See how we did. This one, yeah, she's a couple tenths off. I can get closer than that for sure, just by doing that averaging. But that ain't bad for doing it right out of the gate. Yeah, and that's just a rough grind, so that's pretty good. I think we could set it on the bar and with the headstock and get a comparative there and see how our tailstock lines up with our headstock and how much more material we need to remove. Just get an idea whether we got a mile to go or we got little bits or whatever. All I know is it's high right now, but I need a number. So let's get that number. Okay, if you recall in my last video, I told you that I cut too big of a relief in the bottom of the first block I made, and here's the reason right here. This is a half by half relief down the center, and this bar, I don't know whether you can see it or not, but it's proud here. It's got a relief from here to here, and then it's got a ground surface here. So it sits proud out here and out here, and the center is relieved. So this thing is just barely hanging on by an edge up against this upper, I'll call it a land for lack of a better word. But that's the reason we had to make a new one. So that first one was a fail. And here's the one that we just made. This has got the 3/8 relief in the middle, and you can see we're sitting on that land very nicely right now. So that's why that first one didn't work. I had a couple people ask me, hey, why couldn't you make that one work? It's just sitting on a bar. Well, the bar's ground. They're 90 degrees apart, and it's a pretty interesting bar. It's a very nice hardened steel bar, straight as an arrow. And but it rides on this upper section and on this lower section of this ground, and they actually relieved this center right here. So that's where our part rides on there. All right, so I thought I'd kind of explain that one to you. Okay, well I got the headstock and my new tailstock both mounted on the bar. They're just sitting there. The bar's clamped down to the table on a flat spot that's on the back. This is a retractable headstock. It's a really nice unit. I already know I'm high visually. I've got a center here that I mic'd. It doesn't matter. I'm using the same center on both of them. It's a 5/16 center. You know, it measures spot on, nice and parallel and everything. I zeroed up on this once. Let's see if we can get back on it. You need to go the other way, knucklehead. There's something. All right, we're gonna sweep across and find our peak. We want it to peak out at 0. Okay, good. I think we're happy there. Can you see that gauge? Not really. Well, you're gonna have to trust me. I'm at 0. All right, so we're gonna pull that out of the way. We're not gonna touch the surface gauge. All we're gonna do is move this pin over to here, and then come in here and sweep that. And try to get a number. You know, if it's too much, if it exceeds the limit of the gauge, this gauge will only go 16 thousandths. I'm just going to come in slow. It looks pretty high. There's 8. We're coming up on 18. I'm coming up on the limit of the gauge. Yeah. All right. It's at least 18 thousandths. We got to pull out of that thing. So it's all action and reaction. So we got to go back and do a little more grinding. And I'm happy with the way that this top is centered. We already measured that, so I'm super happy with that. So I'm just going to keep removing it from the bottom. It's sitting on the bar pretty good. That groove in the bottom could go a little bit wider, and it would actually increase the purchase area where it sits on the bar. So I think I want to remove the material on the bar side, not on the center side. So it's more of the same. It's more of what I already showed you that I that I can't show you. All right, so I'm going to go pull a little bit more out of it. 16 thousandths is a good place to start. I think, you know, maybe I'll plow 10 thousandths out of it and see if we get in the realm into somewhere more believable. So let's try to get 10 thousandths out of that thing. Okay, well, we're still sneaking up on it, and I thought I'd tell you a little bit about the math. It's actually pretty easy. Remember, you're moving you're removing material from both sides, so you can't work off the sine of 45 degrees, which is 0.7 whatever. I wrote it up here on the board. You take sine and do it up by 2, it's 1.414. So for every thousandth you take out of two sides, you're going to lower a round pin 1.414. So almost a thou and a half per thousandth of material you remove from the flanks of your V-groove. So just go to your sine table, take sine of 45 degrees, but don't forget to multiply it by 2. Right now I'm going to go ahead and zero up here because I'm getting really, really close. Okay, I am zeroed up on the headstock. And I'm about 1.8 high. So I've got less than a thou to go of grinding. Or no, just a little over a thou, because if I remove 1 thou, it's 1.414. So that's a thou and a half, and I'm looking for 1.8 thou. So I'm going to pull 1,000th out of it, clean it really good, reset everything, and try to completely sneak up on this thing. And then after that, we're into the tenths on our down feeds. So let's keep going. This would be the wrong time to blow this one. Well, as usual, the last couple of cuts, you're always sweating, hoping you're not going to overshoot. And I was just doing it a tenth at a time, letting the part cool down in between. Everything matters, clean, clean, clean. But here, I'll show you the results. Here's the headstock. And we're peeking out right at 0 there. Hopefully you're seeing that. Okay, good. And then we will gingerly move it over to here. Yeah, there we are. You would need a micrometer to go any farther than that. And let's check parallelism of the V-groove, just for the heck of it. Okay, so we're 0 there. We're going to come all the way over to here. See how parallel that V-groove is. Yeah, that's almost beyond my measurement capabilities. So I think this guy's going to be really happy. And like I say, sneak up on it. A grinder is one of the few tools where you can actually sneak up on your work. A lathe, you have to bury the tool into the work enough to actually do some good. A milling cutter doesn't like taking half thou cuts, you know, but a grinder, you can certainly do it. And you know, as soon as you get a surface grinder, you can move your decimal place over 1 point in the shop, which is super cool. All right, guys, that's the end of this tool block. It's I'm going to gun blue it real quick and deliver it. So that is finished. I'd like to thank you guys for watching. Okay, well, I assembled it to see if there was anything that I was overlooking, and I think everything's good here. These levers, you release these that actually releases the column, so you can move it in and out with this knob right here. So they'll slide back and forth for different gears. This is the tailstock I made. There's a center installed in there, and you just, you know, you can lock everything right here. Do these 2 quarter turners, and now this column is locked after you've adjusted your gear in and out for the right mesh with the test gear or the reading gear, whatever. And you just spin your gear by hand, and then we're moving that old Federal gauge over there. Unfortunately, the headstock, I don't have the clamp for the back side of this headstock, and that's what clamps this to the column. This clamps up here, and this is a spring-loaded headstock, and that's what comes down against my center. That's what we were measuring to, was this headstock here. So that's the whole thing in a different light. And you know, this could do some pretty large gears if you needed to. But sadly, I don't have the clamp to put this on the column. I was kind of hoping to Mickey Mouse something together and kind of demonstrate it. But this has been a fun project, and it's at a close. Thank you guys for watching, and thanks for checking out this Variroll Model C. All right, see you on the next one.